This is the 2020 iPad Pro, the most powerful and most expensive iPad your money can buy. I've been using it for the past couple of weeks and I've got a lot to say about it. So the design is everything you know and love about the 2018 iPad Pro, but with some new features. It has the same box design, the same USB-C port, and the same 5.9mm slim form factor. In fact, the iPad is thinner than my iPhone 11 by a large chunk. As a result of that, we have the same super vulnerable build. And with a total weight of 1.04 pounds, the iPad is super portable. It can basically fit in any school backpack or laptop case, and it won't add any bulk either. But as I said, this has a weak frame, so I suggest you put some sort of case on it. The case I use looks good, has excellent material, and is half the weight of the iPad, so I don't have to worry about bulkiness. I'll leave a link in the description to this case, and some other cases along with that. So when you use the iPad without a case, it feels very good in the hands. The finish on the device provides some grip, while keeping the ultra premium feel. One thing to note is that the box design can be a little bit uncomfortable if you use it for a long period of time, so be prepared for that. The main difference between the 2018 model and the 2020 model is the new camera system on the back. Instead of one single lens, now you get a wide, ultra-wide, and LiDAR sensor. This is all housed in a square camera bump on the upper left-hand side of the device. I'll get more into the cameras later. The 2020 iPad Pro comes in two colors and two sizes, Space Gray or Silver and 11-inch or 12.9-inch. I have the 11-inch Space Gray iPad Pro. I got this because it looks pretty cool, but it's still versatile. On the front, you have arguably one of the best IPS displays on any device, surrounded by pretty sleek bezels that hold the Face ID sensors and selfie camera. Face ID works pretty much the same on the iPad as the iPhone. It's fast and secure, but unlike the iPhone, it works in any orientation. The display itself is an 11-inch liquid retina display, with a resolution of 2388 by 1668. It has a 120Hz refresh rate, otherwise known as ProMotion, and up to 600 nits of brightness. While the standard iPads have an aspect ratio of 1.3 by 1, this is a tad bit wider, sitting at about 1.43 by 1. With the ProMotion technology, everything looks better, scrolling through articles, playing games, or simply swiping between home screens. I will say that in day-to-day tasks, you won't really notice the high refresh rate, but if you go back to a 60Hz panel, you'll see the difference. On top of this, some apps and games don't really support 120Hz, especially media content like Disney Plus or YouTube, which is mostly 20, 30, or on some rare occasions 60 frames per second. The display panel is pretty bright. You can use it outside on max brightness, and during those late school nights, you can use the night shift and true tone to help your eyes. I will say these modes do mess up the colors, but they're not that big of a deal. This 120Hz display is powered by Apple's custom A12Z Bionic chip, which is built specifically for the 2020 iPad Pro. This chip can basically rival a maxed out 16-inch MacBook Pro, even beating it in single-core scores on Geekbench. As you can guess, with the A12Z, the iPad Pro is really powerful. I couldn't find a single app that would make this iPad crash or slow down. The 11-inch iPad Pro that I have has about 4GB of RAM, but some of the 12.9-inch models have about 6. This is why the iPhone 11 can get away with just 4GB of RAM, but still minimal performance loss. The battery on the 11-inch iPad is 7,600 mAh, but on the 12.9-inch it's 10,875. The battery lasts me all day with ease. I can usually get 6 to 8 hours on a single charge, but depending on what I do and how long I do it, the battery can vary. If I'm just reading books or articles, then the battery will last longer than if I'm playing some 3D game. In the box, the iPad Pro comes with an 18-watt USB-C charger. This is the same one that ships with the iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max. You also get a 1-meter USB-C to USB-C cable to connect the iPad to a charger or some other devices. The iPad usually charges from 0 to 100% in 2 hours and 30 minutes, but it charges a lot faster when I use my MacBook charger. You should know that the iPad only supports up to 30 watts of fast charging, so if you're like me and you use your MacBook charger, it's not going to use all the power. So the cameras are the main difference between the 2018 and 2020 iPad Pro. In general, the photos and videos are great for a tablet, which really doesn't say much, but they're still good. Like the iPhone 11, the primary 12-megapixel sensor is excellent, especially in a well-lit environment. The ultra-wide, however, is a different story. The photos look very grainy and soft in basically any conditions, so you won't find yourself using this one that much. I honestly never needed the cameras on this iPad as a real photography camera. Most of the time I was scanning handwritten notes or taking a photo of a document to annotate, and it does those things well, so having a poor ultra-wide camera is not harming the iPad. You also get a new light detection and ranging system, otherwise known as LiDAR. This helps your iPad understand its location relative to other objects. With this new system, AR apps will work a ton better, such as the Measure app or IKEA Place. As a student, I never really needed this LiDAR sensor because we don't really use AR things, at least yet, but it's still a cool little toy to mess around if you have some free time. In general, the cameras on the iPad Pro are completely unnecessary, but that doesn't make them a bad camera system. They really go above and beyond of what I expect a camera on a tablet should be like. In conclusion, this iPad is complete overkill for students. You really don't need the 120Hz display, the A12Z processor, or the new camera system. If all you're really going to be doing is reading textbooks, completing school assignments, or taking notes, then you might want to pass on this. Now, if you do anything more than just schoolwork, then this is where the iPad Pro shines. If you're a photographer, then editing photos on this is one of the best experiences. If you make music, then the quad speakers will be your best friends. And if you're an artist, then the smooth screen and second generation Apple Pencil will be an amazing combination. In fact, the Apple Pencil is literally the best accessory to the iPad Pro. I mean, the two work so well together. Like, the Apple Pencil doesn't need pairing. You just stick it onto the side of the iPad and then it connects and charges. It has a 9 millisecond latency, which means a very realistic and responsive feel when drawing or using it. One thing, however, that I don't like about the Apple Pencil is the limited number of gestures. I mean, you can only double tap to activate a command, which seems very limited. The Apple Pencil obviously has the hardware to support more gestures like triple tap or scrolling, but for some reason, Apple's decided not to put them there. Hopefully in future updates, we get the features that we want. For $130, this isn't a cheap product, and just like the AirPods, you pay for the convenience. The convenience of charging it directly on the iPad and the convenience of instant pairing. Anyways, if you pick up the iPad Pro or any iPad in general, I highly recommend the Apple Pencil, especially if you're a student. I mean, taking notes is so much more fun on the iPad than typing. Bottom line, the iPad Pro is one of the few products in Apple's lineup that's actually worthy of the Pro name. As a student or anyone in general, if you're willing to spend $799 on an iPad and $130 on an Apple Pencil, then you should definitely go get this. If not, there's still some other iPads that could fit in your budget, like the iPad mini, the iPad, or the iPad Air. All these other iPads still support the Apple Pencil, so there's no loss in getting them. But if you really want a similar experience to the 2020 iPad Pro without actually buying it, then I could recommend the 2018 model. You could probably find this on deal or get it from the Apple refurbished store. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the 2020 iPad Pro and Apple Pencil. If you like this video, make sure to like, share, and obviously subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. Also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SweetTechPlanet for updates on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.